You're talking to the guy who's coming from symphonic power metal background. So, like, I know how to play with tracks. I understand why to play with tracks. But this kind of band that we created, we wanted to go Pantera style, like just what it is. It's what we are, what it is, and let's go.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the guys from Savage Existence, Anton and Daniel. How are you today?
Hey, what's up? All good? Just finished the show. We're here in Remchingen of Germany. So enjoyed, enjoyed No Playback Festival. The response, it was pretty crazy. People dig the band, got into it, and completely went bananas. So this is it. They were grooving all around. All
Well,
good.
no doubt. Congratulations. The new album, the debut album is out today, and you guys are on tour and playing festivals and tours across Europe for the next few weeks with Ross the Boss.
Yes, sir.
This is actually our sophomore album, brother.
Oh, okay.
It's our first self-titled album that we really kind of came together for the first effort as a collective band. The first debut was a little more of a kind of fly by the seat of your pants effort and kind of came about serendipitously, whereas this second album was much more calculated and intentional in the way we produced the music. And we had already done some tours together and played some shows together and already had a good vibe between the five of us. So this is we entitled this one Savage Existence to kind of represent this being not necessarily our first release, but our first collective kind of really really definitive release that we have produced as a band together.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. That's great. A cohesive unit. Thanks for that correction. I think you guys have a really interesting backstory if you want to tell the story about how the band formed.
The band practically consisted of Dan and Jesse. They're old friends. And they decided to begin to enter the music world. And on my side, I pulled some pro musicians with me, and I had a blast recording the first effort by the band when we created this kind of style and we entered the groove metal field with Logan Mater. So when we met in the studio, Dan, myself, Jesse, we decided like, okay, it goes very well. Logan felt it, everyone felt it. We spoke, and the band began. And then after several changes, band members, we decided to stay and stick with Andreas Castro on the guitar and Danny Ramkas on the bass. The second album that we recorded after Animals, because when we did Animals, we did several shows like to support the album, to try out the band. We played with Monstrosity in Mexico. We began like to get out of the comfort zone and play. And after that, we went to Vegas and recorded an album record time, having some demos before, and we just created this effort. That's why we call it Savage Existence, by the way. That's why, because it closes the band that was finally formed. So these members and the whole band, we began to play with Cavalera and Suffocation. We did some shows with Sepultura, and now we're doing Ross Boss and having plans for like for other days. We already have some. We don't want to tell about that after we finish the European run with Ross. But hey, dude, the band is moving and generating the buzz because we created this acoustic feel of groove metal, but not overproduced, but groove and very true. Like no playback. We were joking about here because we're playing a no playback festival. No playbacks for us. Zero tracks. Everything is live, man.
I know that's a very controversial thing right now. I feel like if older bands use backing tracks, or if you made like a very, 20 tracks of guitar and then you go down to one live, it's hard, right? It's hard for fans. They don't understand why they're hearing something different than they heard on the record. But I think there's a lot of value in bands that can actually still play live and perform.
Yeah, dude, this is a discussion. You're talking to the guy who's coming from symphonic power metal background. So like I know how to play with tracks. I understand why to play with tracks. But this kind of band that we created, we wanted to go Pantera style, like just what it is. It's what we are, what it is, and let's go. And the whole vibe behind it is just like to really, really rip it out live. You know, if I sing like my ass off, dude. If we play, we really play. And that is something. And being very honest, it's just an honest expression, so people like it. This is very interesting, and it's a rustic, ripping, heavy music. And then for me is one of the very interesting talents that he has very good ideas with riffs. And musician myself, I understand that, and I can create the vibe around it with vocals and stuff. So this is actually a very strong unit between all of us. And he's coming from ayahuasca culture, and he has a very cool facility called Soltara Center. He will tell you just a bit about it. But this vibe, the ayahuasca vibe, the Latin America vibe, and suddenly we're going Southern world plus groove metal Pantera stuff. It's interesting mixture. You know? This is the thing, man. This is the essence.
Nice. I do want to talk for a second about the vocals, Anton, because it's funny. I wasn't aware you had a background in symphonic and power metal, but your voice
Yeah.
is brutal and actually really reminds me a lot more of death metal vocalists like Peter from Vader and things like that. It's such a very strong voice. How did you develop that over years, right? Because like you obviously can do other things too. There's other styles of music on the out, like little in like cool sections and stuff. So there's some
Yeah.
variety, but it's mostly very heavy on the vocals, very brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, you got to do what you got to do. I'm coming from the background of singing from pop music and producing pop music to symphonic power metal. You know, so dude, you just gotta flow with it. So, and it's more chops you have, is better. You see, you have other vocalists who are very brutal, have a lot of like hardcore sounds, like Will Ramos, for example, and other guys, Randy Blythe, like classical guys like Phil Anselmo. But we can add to the picture having a very own personality, and this kind of chops of in melodic vocals allow you to direct a bit more this heavy, harsh vocals and to create these different vibes. This is where we train. This is what we do. We adding some Lane Stanley, some Chris Cornell stuff, and this is what we have on this album.
Nice. And then for you, Daniel, right, on a musical perspective, right? It's one thing to have your influences and have them very forward and tell everybody like these are the bands we love, but it's another thing to have like a very also still a fresh modern sound. So I feel like the music of the band is still very current, right? You can have your influences, everybody loves Slayer, everybody loves Metallica, but it's better if you don't sound exactly like them. So what I like about this record is that from song to song, they're all a little bit different. And I really appreciate that. Like it's not none of those tracks are the same. They're all like a little bit different from each other. What do you think about how the band writes music and your stamp on that too?
Well, generally, the rhythms either come from myself or from Anton. I think we both have distinct writing styles. My writing style, which I can speak for, is pretty consistent. It always kind of has been. I'm generally let's say I like spending time alone, and I like writing music when I'm by myself. So I just kind of end up in a room somewhere, hanging out by myself for a few hours, writing some riffs. Just I start playing around on the guitar, start playing some scales or whatever, come up with something that sounds cool, record it. That's kind of always how I've done it, is just write stuff that gets me grooving personally, and find a way to get it recorded, and then just kind of take it from the bank and just put things together. I think Anton's a lot more calculated when he comes to writing. I think he can do more of a, okay, let's write this, let's compose. He's more of a composer than a riff writer. I'm more of a riff writer, and I stack riffs together, and then it requires a little bit more of a composition mindset to really complete the song. But Anton can look at it more from a holistic perspective and like, okay, I think we should write this type of song and this vibe with this energy for the genre, for this style. and I think it should sound like this, and I think the rhythm riff should sound like this, and I think the lead should sound like this, and I think the vocal should sound like this. And he'll even put the drums on, and he'll kind of do it all together. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between me and Anton.
Yeah.
Nice. And I noticed that those two covers that you previously released popped up on the album, and I love to see the Machine Head cover, especially because everybody loves Lamb of God. I'm a huge Machine Head fan. I know you guys work with Logan, as you mentioned earlier. What did you learn from working with him? Because he's such a great producer and such a chill guy compared to, you know, like people's opinion, you know, like their impression of him being all muscular and tatted, and, you know, his whole career. But he's so sweet. He's so nice. But what did you learn from him in the studio? Because he's such a wizard as a producer.
Well, I can probably
yeah.
speak more for that. I know, and it's like, the thing is, I started from basically nothing with Logan, right? Like, he pretty much taught me everything I know in the studio, because that was the first time I've ever been in the studio. For Anton, it was a lot different, because he's an experienced musician and composer and producer. But for me, you know, Logan was really playing that mentorship role. We became friends before we became business partners, and you know, when we got into the studio, he kind of took us under his wing. When I say us, I mean me and Jesse, and kind of taught us how it works in the studio. How do you, you know, set up recording sessions? How do you put songs together in a comprehensive way? And so that was pretty cool from the beginning. And once it got beyond the studio, he really mentored us in the whole kind of music industry, how things work, what happens between people, what happens in the business, et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, of course, Anton has his own story around that. But
Well,
for me
yeah.
personally,
The funny thing about what he says, for me, it was the first song ever recorded with Savage was owned by Machine Head. It was when we got to the studio. He asked me. I remember the first time I just got into the studio. He was like, "Dude, what are we recording?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's do Machine Head, whatever. Let's do the thing." Was funny at the time, but at the time, you know, Logan is very professional. Myself, I've worked a lot of years in the studio doing different stuff for other artists and doing it myself, choirs and stuff. And I understand uh, thinking, you know, he's very intelligent, experienced, and I respect him a lot. And he's a good producer, man. He gets it. When we started to work with Logan all together, he just understands the band. He understands what we're doing. He understands where we're going, and that's cool. And he's also very, like, you know, into Southern rock, so he understands.
Right on.
he knows the industry too, man. He knows groove metal. I mean, he just knows it big time. Like, he's been there since day one, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no doubt.
Like,
I was lucky enough to see him on tour a couple of years ago. I hope to get him back on the road when he has a new Once Human record. But yeah, great guy. I got to meet him a couple of times. Super nice, and everybody always raves about working with him. So I love to ask everybody about their experience, and it's all consistent, very consistent. You never hear like a bad word about him, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Just so you guys are on tour. Again, major festivals and tour dates supporting Ross the Boss, our friend to Ghost Cult, Ross the Boss, who we've interviewed many times, and super cool. For your opening spot, how do you pick? Like, you got a handful of songs from the last record, maybe mostly the new record, a cover. How do you put a set list together for a tour like this?
Easy. We have some crashing song from the first album. We just know that these songs work, and so we have a couple of those. Of course, the single Animals was the first single also, so it works, man. It works the crowd, and the new songs we have at least 3-4 songs from the new album that are just singles, man. So we're going singles wise. Pretty easy selection, man. So we're going usually with Steady Blow. We're playing Leap of Faith, Standing in Flames, Independence Day. Just a fast track from the next album, from this album, Savage Existence. So we just used it from like best tracks, most crushing singles, and from the first one we have 1,000 pounds of train wreck. This is just an opener, you know, and Animals, of course.
Right on. Do you guys have a favorite track from the new one yet?
I love Steady Blows, man. Like Steady Blows.
Yeah,
for me.
I'd agree, man. Just for playing live, it's just gotta just it's just fucking it's it's exactly what the song title is. Just like take like steady blow, like like it's easy to play. It's easy to play. Gets the crowd going. It's got some good, just chunky riffs. Just like it's just a steady groove. Yeah.
Yeah, and Animals for me. Animals is a very good song. Closure. But from the new album, yeah, Steady Blows.
Independence Day kicks ass. Independence Day is always super fun to play. Yeah, yeah.
All the singles, man. All the singles. We love all the songs.
There's also like a few. There's like I don't know 4 or 5 songs that we haven't even tried playing live off the new album. Right? We haven't even really like played that. We haven't even rehearsed them because they haven't been out. We just been learning and you know like rehearsing and playing the singles as they've been dropping. So you know once we get longer sets, we're gonna be able to chuck some more of the newer songs on into our set as well. So it's gonna be awesome.
Nice. I think you guys have a new music video out today for the release as well. So that's awesome. You guys are everything is ready. I like it. You guys have everything. The world tour, headline tour, maybe in the future, I hope. And
check where we are. All the bands here, man.
Oh, hey.
To get to the bus.
That's awesome. I rarely get to talk to a band the day the record comes out, so I'm really happy for you guys. Congratulations on everything. I hope the feedback is great. We dig it over here, so more to come with you guys in the future. I hope to see you get back to the States, and we'll see you here. We also have people out in Europe, so I'm sure someone will cover the band live somewhere in the world soon. Be safe out there on the road. Take care of our man Ross, and thanks for hanging out with Ghost Cult. We really appreciate you guys.
News coming soon, brother. Can't say any specifics now, but we guarantee we'll be in the States later this year, all over the place.
Guarantee you heard this guy. He just said it.
Yeah, he just said it, dude.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.